turning it.
She said wait till. Are you on your phone, Gladys?
Hey, what's up? What'd you say?
Are you on your phone or on your iPad?
No, I'm on my laptop.
Okay, can't help
I'm
you
on
with
my
that.
iPad, excuse me.
iPad. Sometimes if you turn it, maybe it'll help.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why. Try turning it.
Turn it.
There you go.
Now I see more people.
Hi,
Hello, is that
Gladys.
better?
Sandra.
Hello, Gladys. Hello,
Hey.
Eva.
Hey, Sandra.
Hey, Gladys, turn it up a little bit.
David can't get the screen.
There you go. Well, now we see your ceiling.
Uh-huh.
David, that's a good
Just leave
spot
it,
right
leave it
there.
alone. Leave it alone.
Oh, okay.
Just leave
Oh,
it. You're better off. Hi, Reva.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Hi.
I'm smiling to everybody. Okay, love you.
It usually says full
Sandra.
screen,
Mhm.
but it doesn't full screen.
Okay, let me watch this. Okay, honey.
All right,
All right, good.
you're on your own. Goodbye.
How about here? Is Sherry here?
Those terms grew more and more angry.
I don't know who muted me, but I think it just.
Announced the defense attorney also cross-examining that firefighter.
I didn't tell you, you would have liked a number of weird circumstances. I got four of them for about 16 hours each.
Good evening. Emily.
Birth is a beginning and death is a destination, but life is a journey, a growing from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity and youth to old age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion and then perhaps to wisdom, from health to sickness and back we pray to health again. From joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, we see that victory lies not as some high place along the way, but in having made the journey stage by stage. Birth is a beginning and death is a destination, but life is a journey made stage by stage to life everlasting.
We are here today in order to honor and remember our beloved Doris Verkauf, that has left this world to go to a better one. It's very important to gather in order to honor our beloved ones. This is a special time for introspection, to think about our life, to think about ourselves, how our lives are going, and especially in this case, to think about Doris' life and how her life impacted our own lives for the better. We are here also to think about how we are going to honor and remember her every day of our lives. One of the ways to honor and remember somebody is by doing acts of chesed, loving kindness. Another one is giving tzedakah, doing great things in memory and honor of our beloved one. She did great things for us, and now we are doing great things on her behalf. We do things Leilui Nishmat, for the elevation of the soul of Doris Verkauf, in memory of Dvora Bat Baruch Beshendel. May her memory be for a blessing. Eshet Chaim Mimtza. These are the first 4 words of the last 22 verses of the book of Proverbs, written by King Solomon. Who can find an accomplished woman, a woman of valor? Surely we found one, and her name is Doris. Let's recite this beautiful poem. אשת חיים נמצא ורחוק מפנינים מכרע, ותחבא לבעלה ושלל לא יחסר, מלאתי אותו ולא רק כל ימי חייה, ועל שרצה ורופשתי מטס בחפץ כפיה, פיה פתחה בחוכמה ותורת חסד על לשונה, צופי הליכות ביתה ולחם הצלוב לא תאכל, קמו בניה וישרו בעלה ויללה, רבות בנות עשו חיל, והטלית על כולנה, שקר אחר והבל היופי, אישה יראת אדוני היא תתהלל, תרולה מפרי ידיה, ויעללוה בשערים מעשיה. I want to invite now Nicholas.
A woman of valor who can find. Far beyond pearls is her value. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and a lesson of kindness is on her tongue. Her children rise and celebrate her. Many daughters have attained valor, but you have surpassed them all. False is grace, and vain is beauty. A God-fearing woman, she should be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands, and she will be praised at the gates by her very own deeds.
We are grateful for the many blessings in Doris' life and for all the love that she gave to her beloved ones. We are going to recite now Psalm number 23. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai rohi lo echsar, v'noteshi arbitzein erme menuchot yenahaleni. נפשי ישובב ינחני במגלי צדק למען שמו, גם כי הלך בגיא צל מוות לא ירא כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. אהרוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, תשענת בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה, אך טוב החסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. Bread.
A song of David. God is my shepherd. I don't need anything else. He lays me down in green grass. He leads me by calm waters. He refreshes my soul. He leads me in the way of justice for the sake of his own name. Even if I walk in the valley in the shadow of death, I will fear no evil because I know you are with me. Your rod, your staff, and your support comfort me. I hope that only goodness and kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in God's house forever.
After the recitation of these two special psalms, we're going to pray Tfilat Arvit, the Ma'ariv service. If you have the Sidurim with you, your prayer books, we are going to start on page number 281. So we're going to start with the evening service, and really it's the same as every day. The same liturgy, same nusach, same melodies, but in this case it's special, very, very special, because we are here honoring and remember Doris Verkauf. Please rise for the Verkauf. בהורך ומכפר אבום ולא ישחית, וירבל ישיבה פה ולא יאיר כל חמתו, אדוני יושיע מלך יעננו ויום קוראנו, ברכו את אדוני ימבורך. ברוך אדוני ימבורך לעולם ועד. May be seated. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בדברו מריב הרבים מקום הקודש. חי וקיים תמיד ברוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב הרבים. Let's read together on page number 281. With constancy you have loved your people Israel, teaching us Torah, mitzvot, statutes and laws. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down to sleep and when we rise, we shall think of your laws and speak of them, rejoicing always in your Torah and mitzvot. For they are our life and the length of our days. We will meditate on them day and night. Never take your love from us. Praised are you, Adonai, who loves the people Israel. ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, לשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. והיה שבת ישוע. We continue quietly with the second and the third paragraph of the Kiryat Shema. Adonai Elohim, Emet, page 283. Vemos una canción de Temanino. ומלכותו ורצון קיבלו עליהם, משה ובני ישראל החלו שירה ושמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, תורתנו תוסף אלה, מלכותך רב הנקבו קיים לפני משה, זהרי אנו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כיפה אדוני את יעקב, הוגע לו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, God Israel. Page 284, we read together in English. Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace and awaken us again, our sovereign to life. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us, our gracious and merciful ruler. Guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace now and always. Praise to you, Adonai, eternal guardian of your people Israel. ושמור צאתנו בואנו לחיים ולשלום יטב יד עולם, ברוך אתה אדוני שומר עמו ישראל לעד. ברוך אדוני לעולם אמן ואמן. ברוך אדוני מציון שוכן ירושלים, הללויה, ברוך אדוני. הושיענו אדוני אלוהינו וקבצנו והצילנו מן הגויים. Praised is Adonai by day and praised by night. Praised when we lie down and praised when we rise up. In your hands are the souls of the living and the dead, the life of every creature, the breath of all flesh. Into your hand I entrust my spirit. You will redeem me, Adonai, God of truth. Our God in heaven, assert the unity of your dominion, affirm your sovereignty and reign over us forever. Baruch Adonai Bayom, Baruch Adonai Balayla, Baruch Adonai B'Shokveinu, Baruch Adonai B'Kumeinu, Ki b'yadcha nafshot ha'chaim v'hametim, Asher b'yado nefesh kol chai v'ruach kol b'sar ish. Ki המלכות שלך יורד תמלוך בכבוד, כי אין לנו מלך אלא אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, המלך בכבודו תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ועל כל מעשיו. Please rise. I want to recite Chatzi Kaddish, half Kaddish on page 285. יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה, ויעלמד יברח ילוטה וימליך מלכותה, וחייכו ויאמרו חיי לכל בית ישראל, בגל בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יש מרבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו. לעילם מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה ומירם בעלמה, ואמרו אמן. And now we are going to recite the Mariv service, the Amidah for the Mariv service. We are going to start on page 286 and we are going to end on page 291. And we are going to do it quietly. Here we said in the middle, please continue. If not, go to page 294. 294 for the Kaddish Shalem. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון ובימיכון, וחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יש שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר, ויתרומם מתנשא, ויתעלה 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 שמי דקודשה. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירם ועלמא ואמרו. יש למה רבה משמיא וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו. עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו. עלינו לשבח, page 297. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית שלא עשינו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם לגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. When kids say Kaddish, they are elevating the soul of their parents to be closer to God. This world is like a lobby before the world to come. Prepare yourself in the lobby so that you will be able to enter the banquet hall. We have no doubt that in the merit of all Doris' good deeds, she will merit a full share in Olam Haba, in paradise. Our good acts and the recitation of Kaddish will help Doris' soul too. So it's a great merit to recite Kaddish, and that is why now we are going to recite Monres Kaddish on page number 298. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דיברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון ובימיכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. El Maleh Rachamim is a prayer in which we ask God that the soul of our beloved one finds perfect rest in Gan Eden in paradise. Again, all the merits and good deeds of Doris will make her soul going up to heaven, so she's going to enjoy, and she's already enjoying, the eternal light of God. Remain standing for El Maleh Rachamim. El Maleh Rachamim שוכן במרומים, אמצא מנוחה נכונה על כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, את מי ישמע, את מי ישמע, דבורה, בת ברוך ושיינדל, שהלכה לעולמה, ועבור שכל הנספים כאן מתפללים לעילוי נשמתה. וגן עדן מנוחתה, לכן בעל הרחמים, אז תראה בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח ושלום על משכבה, ונאמר Amen. God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Doris Verkauf, who has gone to her eternal home. God, grant infinite rest to Deborah Bat Baruch Veshendel. Merciful One, Doris family, Byron, Nancy, Sherry, Dana, Evan, Bradley, Erin, Greg, Nicholas, Emily, Brett, Lily, Molly, and Matthew, and all of us ask you, God, that Doris find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let's say together, Amen. May be seated. People live on after death, not only in the other world, but through what they leave behind here on earth. Chaim, life, in Gematria is 68. There are two other words that have the exact numerical equivalent to this number. Banav, his children, and Vaiven, and he built. Banav, their children, the future generations are their lives. And Vaiven, what they built is their legacy. Doris Verkauf was someone that knew the concept of Ledor Vador from generation to generation. She was the matriarch of the family, and she's leaving behind her a beautiful one that learned from her many good life values. Doris planted the seed of Judaism in her family, one that all of you carry with great pride. Doris keeps living through all of you, from who you are and from what you do. Doris loved to be Jewish, and she was able to pass that love to all of you. That's why we say that for Doris, Chaim, life after she passed, comes with her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. You learn from her example and you are behaving accordingly. Her legacy is there for all of us to enjoy. Right now we are celebrating Pesach, Passover. And Passover is all about telling and retelling the story of our people and being inspired by that story. We are going to keep telling Doris' story, and her life will be a huge inspiration for all of us. Thank you, Doris, for all that you have taught us and for inspiring us to be better and better. May she rest in peace. The fond memories that we have of Doris 105 years will enlighten our lives and bring us comfort and consolation. So now it's time to hear from all of you, or some of you. So we have a mic here. So if you want to share with us, for sure, there are so many great memories and great stories about Doris that you're more than welcome to share them with all of us. Byron, if you want to start.
First of all, I'd like to thank all of you who showed up tonight. I know in this time of the COVID virus, a lot of people were reluctant to come out, but as it turned out, it couldn't have been a nicer night and a nicer environment. And the way it's set up, I think everything is perfect. So we appreciate everybody who showed up. Lately, for obvious reasons, thoughts about my mom and the person that she was, the life she lived, have been on my mind an awful lot. And while there are memories too numerous to recount, the same three things always seem to come to my mind. These three things were most important to her. They personify her and shape the way she lived her life. The first was family. Her husband, her children, her grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Her great-grandchildren, Emily, Nicholas, Brett, Lily, Molly, and even Matthew, who's 4 years old, were all very fortunate to know her and to feel her love for them. Emily, Nicholas, and Brett got to visit her on a regular basis because they lived here. But even though Lily, Molly, and Matthew, they live in Houston, they saw her a lot less, but they still had become an important part. She had become an important part of their lives. Just to illustrate that, as a side note, my mom passed away on Thursday, and that night, Aaron had come to Tampa to be with us, and her husband stayed behind with the three kids. And as Greg went up to tuck the kids in bed, he went into Lily's room. Lily is 10 years old. And as he bent down to kiss her, Lily said to Greg, "You know, Daddy, what I'm going to remember about my mom is that bright red lipstick that she always had on. And when she kissed you, she got it all over your face." So that just shows you it's pretty good for a 10-year-old. And then he went into Molly's room, and as he tucked Molly in, he noticed that she had a teddy bear that Molly had taken from my mom's apartment about 2 years ago, was sitting in her bed next to her. She was holding on to it. So it just illustrates that even though these kids are so young, she had a terrific impact on their lives. So I mentioned families first. Secondly and important were friends. She had many dear friends and many others too, numerous to count, as exemplified by the turnout here tonight. As you all know, she was indeed a people person. Lastly, the thing that was important to her was her synagogue and her Judaism. A number of years ago, Mom was presented a service award at the synagogue. It was a dinner presentation and a surprise. She didn't know anything about it. And I was asked to take part in the presentation. In my remarks, I said, I couldn't very well remember my mom getting angry at anybody or anyone or anything. But once, however, I happened to be privy to a conversation which she was having with some people that I wouldn't mention right now. But someone said something critical at the synagogue. Well, then I saw a side of Doris Verkauf that I'd never seen before. You didn't criticize her family, and you didn't criticize her synagogue. Ever since I can remember, she worked at Road of Shalom, and she was always here. For the last number of years, thanks to my sister Sherry, the two of them have been at the synagogue for almost every occasion. And I know that Sherry and my mom have great comfort and peace knowing they shared those hours together in a place that they both loved very much. Somebody else? Even if you don't come here, we know that you have so many stories to share. Share them with your hearts, okay? Okay, Francine, Ivan.
I first knew Doris when we worked in the kitchen and we did catering for bar and bat mitzvahs. And we did it for years. And I marveled at Doris. I said, "You're really so good at this. I'm learning so much." She says, "Do not tell my husband that I'm good at anything in the kitchen."
Andy?
A really long timers might know my mom and Aunt Doris were the closest of friends. And can you hear me? Okay, now can you hear me? So Aunt Doris took a special pride in saying she helped raise me after my mom passed away. Why she took pride in that, I will never know. But she did. And she made me feel so good about that. I would love to be a fly on the wall with Aunt Doris, my mom, Aunt Rose Verkauf, and Aunt Ruthie Warshaw, wherever they're playing cards and sitting there eating junk food, looking at each other and saying, "I don't know why my belly hurts so bad, but it does." They never figured out that they were eating junk food all the time, but they had a blast playing cards. And Aunt Doris always had her red lipstick on too.
Jan, Noah?
So ever since I was 1 year old mostly, Doris always on Friday nights gave me lollipops.
And a big kiss for sure.
With red lipstick all over.
Yes. Betsy?
Hey, so when I moved here 30 years ago, and I was married maybe a couple months to Abe Marcadis, and someone told me to go to Lucy's Fancy to get my hair done. Well, you didn't even get a chair at Lucy's Fancy until Doris and Rose were done with their appointments. Like, they held court, and they must have had, maybe I had, Abe, you didn't let me do my hair enough because I was maybe there once every 6 months, and those ladies, I know they were there once a month. And the story I love too is Doris, I wore a dress today, which I don't think I've worn since COVID started, but Doris would just give Sherry a rash to, and she'd go, "Please tell her to wear a frock." And I go, "All right, I'll tell her to wear a freaking frock, Doris." Like, and so she just, and I had to look up frock. I mean, I was like, okay. And then Sherry, it's a little political, but when Trump was running against Hillary, and Sherry had told us that Doris was a solid Democrat. So we said, okay, well, she's voting for Hillary. And we all sat on bay to bay. And she goes, "Well, honey, a woman can't be president." And I went, "Oh my God, Trump's going to win." So we lost. But I love her dearly. And there's just so many good stories. And I really appreciate her so much. Yeah, thanks. You guys just honored her all the time, everybody.
Steve?
So I'll just tell one quick story about Doris. We used to come to, well, we still do, we come to shul on Friday night, and one night after Shabbat service, I turned around and I kissed somebody I knew, and then right behind her was Doris, and she was just staring at me. So I looked at her and she said to me, "What am I, chopped liver?" So I said, "I beg your pardon?" She said, "You kissed the other people, you didn't kiss me. Am I chopped liver?" And then she stood there with her big red lips. And from that time on, every Shabbat afterwards, she'd come up to me and say, "Here I am, chopped liver," and I got my kiss.
I forgot to one little side note I wanted to say about my mom. As most of you knew, my dad, he liked to gamble once in a while. Not very often, but anyway, he used to go to Vegas on these junkets all the time, and then he went to New Jersey, and then after that he went to Biloxi, and pretty much been everywhere. But my mother in the beginning, this is a story Sherry liked to tell, my mother in the beginning didn't go with him very often. And I guess he gambled to the point where they treated him fairly well, because they started paying for his plane tickets, and they started paying for his hotel rooms, and actually a suite and this and that and the other and all his meals. So my mother obviously started going and enjoying herself. But I'll never forget the first time that she went to Vegas with him. She called us, she called Sherry and I. She walked into the room, into her suite, and eventually she got to her bedroom. And she went crazy. She called us and said, "I walked into my bedroom and there's nothing but mirrors on the ceiling and on every wall in here." She said, "What is that all about? I can't believe this." She said, "I'm going to change rooms. I can't stand this."
Shut it on. So many memories. So many memories. Here's one I remember. My mother says to me, "You need a pair of pants now." And I said, "Mom, what's wrong with the pants? They look good." "They're hallucious. Get in the car." And where do we go? Ybor City. Aunt Doris and Uncle Sam. I remember it like yesterday. I remember the Hager sign on the door. I remember the football, and that's really the first time I even got exposed to football. I didn't realize that. See, Aunt Doris, you taught me football too. I just thought of that now. Family is really what the Verkaufs are all about. And I remember when we moved here in the late 60s, instant family. And Aunt Doris has always been that way. I've had the privilege of living in the same building with her for a couple years now, and always smile on her face. "Hello, Sheldon, how are you? Aunt Doris, I love you." It's difficult, I know, but what a wonderful, wonderful life she led. And Aunt Doris, I love you. And by the way, say hello to the greatest assistant cantor there ever was, and that was Uncle Sam.
My wife Gail and I love coming to synagogue, receiving the warmth and kisses of Doris every weekend. And one quick war story I wanted to share with you, most of you probably would not know. A couple of years ago when she was, I can't remember, either 102 or 103, we had the privilege of driving her to a party, and they were playing disco music, including a soundtrack from Saturday Night Fever. And I had the best dance partner, excluding my wife, that I've ever had. We danced 2 full songs to Saturday Night Fever. She wore me out, and I had to ask her if I could sit down.
this isn't just about my grandmother, but I just thought that there were 3 things worthy of mention. It's funny that Uncle Byron said 3 things. I don't even know if this is the appropriate forum for this, but the first is that my grandmother was so blessed to have the love of 3 amazing caregivers who are a part of our family, and that's Barbara, Renee, and Clara. And without them, I really don't think that my grandmother would have been here for 105 years, maybe 104, but definitely not 105. So we owe them everything. They took, not that my grandmother ever would have been a burden, but they just did. They were just everything. So I see Renee, I don't know the other 2. So thank you. The second is that my Uncle Byron has given so selflessly an ante of themselves for my grandmother. And again, she would not have been able to live in her home. She would have not been here for as long if it had not been for them and their sacrifice and their attention and their love. And then lastly, my mom, who, as you all know, just would not let my grandmother get old. She would still buy her, we would still buy her the coolest outfits, and my mom would come back with jewelry for my grandmother from everywhere she went. And she took her to the symphony, and she took her everywhere. My grandmother was a fixture with us. She was at my son's baseball games until she finally put her foot down at, I think, 103, and she said, I'm not going to one more game. So, but it's such a testament to her that she, I could get off on many tangents, but so it's really due to her children that she was here for as long as she was and that she gave us as much of herself as she did. So we're just so lucky to have had her. And I said to Mike today, wherever he is, I think I remember him speaking at Aunt Minnie's funeral, and I didn't know, and the 3 of you, and I didn't know how grandchildren did that. But so I really can't say everything I want to say about my grandmother. I was just so very proud of her, and I loved her so much. And I feel like we just lost just a part of me, and that my grandfather was still here when she was here, but now I feel like they're both gone, but at least they're together. So thank you all for coming tonight, and thank you, Mom and Uncle Byron and Clara and Renee and Barbara.
That concludes our service. Thank you everybody for coming. And Doris, you're going to be always in our hearts. Thank you.
Hello. Very nice. Hola, Paz, okay? It was a beautiful service. Thank you.
I don't know what's going on. Must be over. That silverware.
Yeah.
I know.
Where you been? Where you been?
Talk to a year. Good, how you been? Yeah. Okay, so I said, guys, you know, where's the gun? I said, it's Pesach. I know you have a light show. We went early. I couldn't go. Yeah. We're showing. I'm next week. Exactly. Yeah. I'm not doing it. So they went with me a little early. And, you know, it was nice. It was very, very nice. Carl's a great guy. Yeah. I don't even know if it was just his yeah. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, so great. Well, matters thank you. Okay, I'm going to